The Galactic Council had always considered humans to be an anomaly, dangerous in their unpredictability, reckless in their compassion, and utterly baffling in their refusal to follow the natural order of things. But nothing prepared the Empire for what Lieutenant Arya Cross did on the forsaken moon of Felkara 9. The distress beacon had been silent for 3 days when Cross's reconnaissance ship finally touched down on the barren surface. Her mission was simple: investigate the abandoned research outpost, recover any salvageable data, and leave. The Empire's xenobiologists had been studying the apex predators of Velkara 9, the Rakthari, before something went catastrophically wrong. Cross found the bodies first. 12 scientists, their protective suits torn open by claws that could shred reinforced steel. The Rakthari were known throughout the galaxy as killing machines. 8 feet of muscle and fury with 6-inch fangs and an insatiable hunger. They were the reason no colony had ever survived on Velkara 9 for more than a month. But then she heard it, a sound that shouldn't exist in a place of death. A whimper. She found him in the ruins of the containment lab, no bigger than a house cat, his obsidian scales dulled by starvation. The cub was curled around the corpse of what must have been his mother, her massive body riddled with plasma burns. The scientists had killed her, but not before she'd broken free and exacted her revenge. The cub looked up at Cross with eyes that gleamed like liquid gold, too weak to even hiss. Any sane being would have walked away. The Empire's protocols were clear. Rakthari were too dangerous to be kept alive outside of maximum security facilities. The cub would grow into a creature capable of decimating entire settlements. Command would order its immediate termination. Cross had never been particularly good at following orders she disagreed with. She named him Core, an old Earth word meaning heart, and smuggled him aboard her ship in her emergency supply pack. For the first 3 months, she kept him hidden in her quarters, feeding him ration supplements and synthetic proteins while he grew from the size of a cat to that of a large dog. The other crew members noticed her increased food requisitions, but Cross had earned enough respect during the border wars that no one questioned her too closely. Core bonded to her with an intensity that defied everything the Empire knew about Rakthari psychology. The species was supposed to be solitary, incapable of forming attachments, driven purely by predatory instinct. Yet Core followed Cross everywhere she went, learning to understand her commands, even beginning to display what could only be described as affection. When she was injured during a skirmish with pirates, Core refused to leave her side in the medical bay, his rumbling growl keeping even the doctors at a cautious distance. The secret couldn't last forever. When Admiral Thax discovered Core during a surprise inspection, the entire ship went into lockdown. Security personnel surrounded Cross's quarters with plasma rifles charged and ready. Thax himself, a towering Quellan with 4 eyes that burned with military precision, demanded immediate compliance. "Lieutenant Cross, you are harboring a Class 5 predatory organism in direct violation of Imperial law. Step away from the creature, and it will be terminated humanely." Cross stood her ground, placing herself between the rifles and Core, who had grown to nearly 4 feet at the shoulder. "With respect, Admiral, he's not a creature. His name is Core, and he's under my protection. That thing will eventually revert to its nature and slaughter everyone on this ship. That thing saved my life 2 weeks ago when we were boarded. He defended the engineering crew from armed hostiles. Check the security footage yourself." The silence that followed was deafening. Thax did check the footage. What he saw changed everything. During the pirate attack, when 3 raiders had breached the engine room, Core had moved with terrifying efficiency, but not mindlessly. He'd targeted only the armed hostiles, avoiding the panicked engineers cowering behind equipment. When one raider had grabbed a young technician as a hostage, Core had waited, calculating until Cross gave him a hand signal. Only then did he strike, disarming the pirate without harming the hostage. It was intelligence, strategy, loyalty. Thax forwarded the footage to the Galactic Council with a report that shook the Empire's scientific community to its core. If one Rakthari could be socialized, trained, and bonded to a human, what did that say about the dozens of species classified as irredeemably dangerous? What did it say about the Empire's xenocide campaigns against predatory worlds? The hearings lasted for months. Cross testified before the Council, Core at her side, now fully grown at 7 feet of lean, powerful muscle. The assembled representatives from 100 worlds watched as she demonstrated his obedience, his intelligence, his capacity for restraint. When a counselor from Zephyros Prime called him a tamed beast, Kor did something no one expected. He spoke. The Rakthari had no vocal cords designed for language, but Kor had learned to manipulate a translation device Cross had modified. His voice came through the speakers, deep and resonant. Not tamed, chose. The Empire had never recorded a Rakthari speaking before. The implications were staggering. Cross and Kor became legends. The human who had defied protocol to save an orphaned cub, and the predator who had chosen family over instinct. The Empire established new protocols for predatory species, prioritizing understanding over extermination. Research teams visited Velkara 9 with Cross as their guide, learning to communicate with adult Rakthari for the first time. Years later, when Cross retired from the military, she returned to Earth with Kor. They settled in the forests of British Columbia, where he could hunt and she could finally find peace. Visitors came from across the galaxy to meet them. Scientists, diplomats, and families with adopted predatory young of their own, all seeking guidance. The Empire still whispers about them in diplomatic circles and military academies. They whisper about the human who looked at an orphaned predator and saw not a monster, but a child. They whisper about the Rakthari who proved that nature could be transcended by choice, that bonds forged in compassion were stronger than any instinct. But mostly, they whisper about the truth that humanity had known all along, that the greatest predator in the galaxy has always been fear itself, and that courage means extending a hand into the darkness, even when everything tells you not to. In the end, that's what makes humans truly dangerous, their stubborn, foolish, magnificent belief that nothing is beyond redemption.